Hey guys, it's Aqeel doing another video today, and in today's video I'm going to be doing a little bit more of a story time kind of video. So I'm going to be talking about my med school journey, so basically like my application process and just kind of the story of how Aqeel got into medicine. So this is going to start probably from about year 11 up until now. So let me just get straight into it. But yeah, starting off with year 11. So back in year 11, I wasn't really like the most like academic kid ever. So I was smart enough, not to brag or nothing, but I was smart enough to kind of just get by without needing to revise. Like I wouldn't, like I would still be in like the higher sets and stuff like that without doing any revision. So because of that, I kind of coasted by. Obviously, looking back on it, if I could, like I would go back and actually put in effort and see how that turned out. Luckily, I was in year 11 in 2020, so I got my predicted grades instead of what I'd actually have gotten. And to be honest, like I probably reckon I would have got a bit lower than what I actually got in my GCSEs, but I mean the game's the game. It worked out, to be fair. I got 4 8s, 4 7s, and 3 6s. So, and two of the eights were in maths and English language, which are probably the most important GCSEs to do well in. So overall, I was in like a good position with my GCSEs. Um, so usually when people get decent GCSEs, they're probably going to apply to like a sixth form or something along them lines. But I always had my sights set on this one college that like a couple of my siblings had been to when they were younger, and just it was just like a college that was close to my secondary school as well. So I was like, why not? And to be honest, like it was kind of boring for them 2 years just because COVID ruined the first year, and then the second year, because the first year was like quite boring, the second year became quite boring. But overall, like I did have an alright college experience, and I definitely learned a lot about myself in terms of how to be more independent, things along them lines. Yeah, like I'm actually really glad I went to a college over a sixth form, just because of the fact you have more freedom at college. I think it allows you to grow more as a person in terms of actually relying on yourself to do stuff. It can kind of take you in two ways, really. Either you can end up messing about a lot, which there are quite a lot of influences at the college I went to kind of do that, but you can also be on the flip side and actually try and do well. And because it's going to be a lot more independent, you're actually going to be in a much better position than someone who kind of had it a little bit more spoon fed to them, or people are on their case a little bit more about it. But yeah, going into year 12, I knew I had to start revising and stuff, but I didn't realize how severe it would be because starting year 12, I got E's. I got like the worst grades I'd ever gotten, and I was getting them even when I was trying. So I knew it was time to just step it up. At first I was taking notes, but then I wasn't taking good notes. like there is, I don't really like taking notes as per se anymore. Like I don't really do them. I'll annotate on like lecture slides, but that's in uni. But back then, like that's all I'd known, or just reading a textbook. So I found out what Anki was, and best believe I made use of that. So in the second lockdown during like December to March times in 2020, or 2020 going into 2021, um I basically had just done lots and lots of Anki prep with biology, especially, and I ended up getting like the best percentage I ever got in an exam on this multiple choice test that we had after lockdown. I got like 94%, and this is me like when I've actually really tried and used something effective. So I realized the power of Anki. I didn't stick to it though, and that's for the pure fact that Ramadan came around, and if you're Muslim, or even if you're not Muslim, you've probably heard of Ramadan. And so basically I had to fast for a month, and I wasn't so into this routine that like I could still do it through that time. I was so tired and drained every day after college that I was just like, you know what, I can't do this. I can't do this revision. Like I tried and used to always like force myself to like at least make an attempt every day in that month, but it never got done. But the worst part was I had exams during that month which were like my AS grades, because we actually did proper AS exams as well, apparently. Like we got the full on qualification and everything. So that didn't really like go to plan, but I ended up getting ABB in the end, which is still fine. So like that was good enough for me. I was like, you know what, considering like all else failed, like at least this didn't. So I left year 12. There was also a couple other things that happened in year 12. So I got introduced to the Pathways to Birmingham, or the like A to B scheme. That's something, if you're in year 12 now, I definitely recommend checking out. It basically it's for like lower income households or people from like certain like state schools. So like if you're eligible for like contextual offers, stuff like that, just have a little bit of like a look into that information. But yeah, that basically gives you lower grade requirements for entry, and for Birmingham it gave us a guaranteed interview, and I did this throughout year 12, and by the end of it I had kind of completed it, and that was that. Like I think that was at the start of the summer holiday, it was finished. And I also found out what the UCAT was, and I basically like bought Ali Abdal's £99 or £100 course, like to kind of intro to the UCAT, but that was a waste of money if I'm honest. I love Ali Abdal, but that video, no, that like series of videos, that course, it wasn't really helpful. I don't remember anything that I learned from that. So yeah, Medify is just the way to go if you're preparing for the UCAT. Well, I'm guessing everyone's done it at this point, but if you're year 12 going into year 13, that's what I recommend. But yeah, year 12 was grind mode. So this is when, I was going to the gym 3 times a week, which is, for me, that's how much I like to go in a week. I don't really care about going 5 times, 6 times. 3 times for me is ideal. I was, actually like, as much as it was grind mode, I was still like relaxing as well, like, chilling. I was like on top of revision, so I was, planning my revision a few days in advance, getting done the topics. I used to do it by topics instead of time, so I didn't allocate like 3 hours to, a certain subject. I would just be like, I need to get these topics done on this day. I was getting that done, and I was keeping this up from, June, July until about the start of August. So the start of August is when things kind of took a turn. So like I was having like a really good like run at this point, but August is when things kind of started to turn around. So long story short, like my family, they basically all got COVID, and they like made me isolate from everyone in like a different living room while, they all were kind of ill, because they knew like I had quite like intense exams coming up, like my mock exams at the start of year 13 and the UCAT. But like basically this kind of led to everyone else kind of starting to feel better, but my mom, like her health wasn't getting better. um this kind of led to her having to go to like, in the ambulance to the hospital. And then, a few days later, like she had to go into ventilation. And this was a difficult time, of course, but like I wasn't aware of how serious this was. But yeah, like the worst case scenario basically happened, and like unfortunately on the 27th last year, my mom passed away. So that was like a shock to the system, and having all these other things on my plate as well, like that was coming up, very soon. Like it was the 27th, and I had like, college starting the next week. I then had the UCAT and driving exam all in that next month. So like this was just a really like big thing to kind of happen. So it was like a shock, but then I kind of distracted myself by like revising for these things and like preparing. Like that's all I could really do at that point. It was like a massive adrenaline rush from that point onwards. So I did my UCAT and I got 2,500 and a band 2. That could be better. Like, I mean, considering everything, I was happy with that score. Like at the time I wasn't, but looking back on it, I'm happy with that. Did my marks, got E's on all of them, which, I mean, I didn't care. Like I think for half of them I was just like daydreaming because I was just so zoned out. Like it really affected me. And then my driving exam, I passed it luckily. So I was really happy about that. And obviously at this point I was having family over quite a lot, so it was like just a lot of distractions at this point, so I couldn't really like deal with anything, which obviously I wasn't complaining about at the time. But then I had always had like some sort of anxiety, like I think like anyone does, but I'm quite like a nervous person in terms of like I'll overthink things a lot in terms of going to going anywhere. Like I'll be like, oh, what's it gonna be like, and I'll really like overthink it to the point where sometimes I won't want to go there. But it had never been to the point where it really put me off anything, and I always thought it was quite normal. But then after everything happened, like it definitely got a lot worse, and like quite quickly, to the point where like I didn't want to do anything, and like I was scared to kind of do things. So I spoke to my brother about it, and we kind of like got into the process of like getting that checked up. And obviously I still struggle with it to this day because it's not something you just get over. But I kind of got systems in place now. Like my brother, I just speak to him a lot. He's like really helpful with these things, and I've also got like good friends around me. So like my best mate is Abe. And this guy, like, we did our like application together. Like we used to FaceTime all the time and revise. Like, you know, just having good people around you to kind of like lift you up and not, like, just talk to at least. That's what really helped me. um but yeah, then it was interview prep time. So interviews, I think up until about November I was doing nothing. After, like, you know, I did my UK and everything, I didn't revise, I didn't do nothing. Like, I always thought, yeah, the exams are like quite far away, I've got time. I'll start at New Year's or something. But then I got like interview offers, so I applied for King's, Birmingham, Manchester and Exeter. Exeter, I didn't really want to go there. I just put it down just because, like, I only really wanted to go to them three unis. But this one I was just like, you know what, I gotta put an option down, and that sounded all right. I thought Exeter sounded fancy, so I was like, why not? Manchester, like, a couple of my siblings went to Manchester, so I was just like, I'm familiar with that city a bit more, and I just like Manchester. It's like a smaller Birmingham basically. um Kings, it's like, that was a really big like dream of mine. Like, I really wanted to live in London and stuff like that, experience all that. But obviously, due to like circumstances, I did also take into account that Birmingham was a lot closer, and it's like somewhere I've had always dreamed of going as well. Like, I was kind of in two minds. But like, all things considered, I thought that definitely, because, you know, of everything that had happened, I'd rather be at home, I'd rather be with family. I think it's like what's important. It kind of showed me like what's important in my life. So it kind of aligned with me to kind of go to Birmingham, and everything panned out perfectly for it in terms of I got a guaranteed interview there, lower grade requirements if I firmed it, as like my UCAS offer. So, you know, applying for so doing preparing for interviews, I was doing nothing at first, actually, if I'm honest. Exeter, I barely prepped for that interview because I didn't want to go there. So in my head, I just took it as like a first experience, and I panicked the day before, but I got through it. It was a really bad interview on my part. I thought it was okay, but I wasn't prepared for some of the questions they asked, and it just wasn't the best experience. But for Manchester, I really prepared for that one, and I ended up getting an offer from Manchester. I got rejected post interview from Exeter. Birmingham, I, you know, really prepared for that interview because I did not want to mess up on that one, because that was the money one right there. Luckily, you know, I'm here now, I'm in Birmingham, so, you know, I definitely got the offer. You know, I think that one went really well, especially like we had a role play section, and I think that is probably what got me the offer, because I felt great doing that one, even though that was like something I was really uncomfortable doing before that. Kings is a funny story. So I actually got an offer. I actually got an interview from Kings, but I did reject it. And this is because I'd gotten an offer from Birmingham by the time I even got an interview from Kings. So I was like, you know what, I'm not ready to go through the stress of preparing for another interview, because I wasn't revising. Like, I was only doing interview preparation, and I was just like, you know what, I'm gonna end up not doing well in my exams, and it's just too much. And because of my anxiety and stuff, it put me off a lot. So I was like, you know what, best thing to do is just forget it. I'm not doing it. So I rejected King's interview, even though it would have been a good experience. I understand that, and I did, you know, it would have been nice to have the option, but I was like, you know what, Birmingham or nothing now. Like, because they took so long as well, I was like, you know what, I just can't get distracted now. And to be honest, I think I did the right thing, because Ramadan came around, and, you know, I was like, you know, this is grind time, so this is a month of just pure revision and focus. And that's what actually ended up happening. So me and Ayub used to wake up, FaceTime each other and revise for the whole day, and then, you know, go and eat and stuff. Like, that was probably the most productive I've ever been in my life. That month was pure revision. I went from having no resources, no notes made, no nothing, to having active recall. Like, if you've seen a previous video of mine, I've made like Notion active recall lists. That's what I call them. So it's like just toggle feature. So it's like question and answer on Notion. I made that for pretty much every like module, like, and sub module for biology and chemistry. You know, and then I was doing exam questions for maths and all of them as well. And then this just put me in the best like kind of position to, like, after Ramadan, then I had like a period of time before exams, and that's where it was just exam questions, going over these active recall lists and just smashing the game. So I was just in focus mode, and it did pay off. My exams overall, I think, I think they went fine. Like, clearly they went okay enough for me to get in. I did have to get ABB to get in with my Birmingham requirement. So yeah, maths was the only one where there was a bit of a concern, because on the third paper, so if you do Edexcel maths, you'll know there's a mechanics and a statistics paper, and these are two separate papers. Like, they come as two separate booklets in the third exam. Usually there's 5 questions on the statistics. I got to the 5th question, went straight to mechanics, and because I was so time pressured, I didn't check through my answers again because I kind of just knew what I had done. So I was struggling, and then turns out when I got home, I saw a TikTok that said there was a 6th question for statistics, and when I tell you, that was like a mind like boggling experience. Like, I was like, what the hell? I was just thought I'd messed it up. Like, I'm done. I'm not gonna get into uni now. But turns out August 18th rolls around, so kind of gone through my summer holidays, a little bit anticlimactic. I was obviously excited to be done with exams, but like, because of last year, like, summer's just a tough time now, and like, I wanted to go out and do things, but things just didn't work out, and it was just a bit more of like I don't know, just relaxing really. Like, I just ended up chilling a lot, seeing family and friends, like that kind of thing, but not like going out anywhere. Like, I wanted to go on holiday and stuff, but timetables just didn't work out between friends and stuff, and like, it just was a long experience really. But overall, it was a good holiday. But yeah, so what happened was August 18th came around, and obviously I made a video on that, so check it out if you haven't, cheeky plug. But basically, I got ABB, scraped it on the dot, but in maths I was 1 mark off an A, and in biology I was 2 marks off an A, and then I got an A in chemistry, which was my worst subject up until that point, I thought. So yeah, maths, if I just attempted that 9 mark question that I missed as the 6th question on statistics, I would have got an A. Biology, I don't know what happened. That was my best subject, but I clearly fumbled. But you know what? I was going to get remarks and stuff, but I was too scared. Like, that's probably the anxiety kicking in. I was just like, you know what? I'm not going to get rejected when I've gotten into med school because I was being petty. So yeah, that was it for me. I was like, I'm done. And through this time, I was like, like, my brother's friend was having a wedding and stuff, so like, I was busy, like, going to like the wedding and stuff like that. So that was just a good experience overall. I had things to keep me busy, and it was just a nice time. And then now I'm here, so it's currently October the 30th, so it's basically Halloween time. So let me tell you, med school is tough. Like, it's not even tough because I don't even think the content's that bad. I don't even, like, I guess it is a lot of work as well. Like, don't get me wrong, it is tough, like the actual content, but it's A-level stuff really and truly. Like, it's just, you gotta learn a little bit more stuff, a bit more specific, I reckon. But I think the hardest part is not even how much you get, it's just the fact that, at least in first year, what I can say is at the start you just get thrown with so many things. Like, in freshers week I had to do a presentation with my M group, which is like my small group teaching, and these are people who I just met at this point, didn't know any of them. They're really nice people though, I get on with them a lot. Then on top of in freshers week having to do a presentation, then you get thrown straight into the lectures after that freshers week, and it's like a lot of intro lectures, but then you don't know when the intro lectures stop. Then you get anatomy practicals, which is like, it's not a lecture, so you're just kind of like getting talked through like an anatomy kind of thing, or like where stuff is, blah blah blah. That's just tough in general because it's a lot more down to you. Then you have workshops, which are like, I don't even know what the difference is between that and a lecture, but yeah, there's just so many new things you need to know and do. And like, I never made a presentation before, so having to actually learn how to make one and all that stuff, and the confidence to kind of like do the presentation, it was a big deal for me. And then, like, I've been on clinical placement, which I'll probably make a new video about actually, because that's something which I really do want to talk about. Like, it's a really good experience, I think, and there's a lot of like stigma around it in terms of how like the GPs can be tough, or it can be a really like nerve-wracking experience. But trust me, I'm like the person who can get nervous for everything, and best believe it's probably been the best like couple days of med school I've had. Like, it was really insightful, and I just really learned a lot from it, so it was really good. But yeah, generally that's it for like my journey into med school. Obviously last year was like a really difficult one, obviously. Yeah, I just learned a lot though. Like, it forced me to kind of grow as a person. Like, I wish my mom was here to see it now, but of course it's gonna come with a grain of salt. But overall, you know, I'm happy to be in med school and I can't wait to make like more videos. But sorry for not making as many now. It's just been tough to kind of like do anything. I've just about being able to briefly do any lectures. Like, I'm so far behind, but I also know that with time it's gonna, like, you know, come more naturally, and I've kind of found a rhythm now and I'm starting to push through more. And I just, even though I'm quite far behind, I know I'm gonna get through it. So yeah, like, just failure is not an option, and if I do, I mean, I'm done. Yeah, but now overall, like, it's still been playing on me as well, like from last year, like with everything happening, not having my mom there as like support, it's had a toll on me, and it still does affect me. So I just need to try and like keep up that motivation and, you know, just the discipline and keep on going. So, you know, hopefully you guys will be here with me through that journey. But overall, thank you so much for watching, guys. Let me know anything like about your journey into medicine, your current journey, like if you're going through it or if you've made it, or just anything you've got to say about my story and any questions, and I'll definitely be sure to reply or help. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.